the number to drop. I don't know how many fouls in total were called tonight, and at times it can make the game choppy, but I think overall it's going to improve the product. The players aren't getting held, and it was both ways. I thought they did a good job both ways. So
honestly, no one watching that game was even close to ready for what Caitlin Clark was about to do to that defense. Don't forget, she had been sidelined for weeks, practically dismissed by countless analysts who, truthfully, never fully believed in how high her potential could really go.
A little undisciplined, just soft defensively. We have to be more connected as a group. I didn't feel like we were very connected as five working together, and you're going to need to help your teammates. Defense is hard, especially when they get us in rotations, but also, our offense wasn't very good, and that's hard when you miss shots and turn the ball over to try to get your defense set and try to get to your matchup. So it's a little of both, but overall, we just have to play better defense. There's going to be moments where we miss shots, and there's going to be moments where things don't go our way. We have to find a way to play better defense.
The preseason rankings were, honestly, embarrassing. The criticism never seemed to stop, and the second that first defender tried to get physical with her, she answered in a way that now has people rethinking everything the WNBA believed it understood about contact, physical play, and even how its own rules are enforced. This wasn't just a return. It was a message felt throughout the entire league.
Kind of returners trying to get your rhythm for the season.
Yeah, preseason games are always going to be a little bit choppy. Our starting lineup is, obviously we have Mai and Mo in there that weren't a part of the Fever last year. And then you have me, which I missed basically all of our games. And Sophie missed a good amount of our games too. So in a way, we're trying to build this.
Think about it. Clark returned to a shorthanded roster, immediately faced the same player ESPN controversially ranked above her, and somehow made the entire matchup look unbelievably easy. But the deeper conversation underneath all of this always seems to come back to Caitlin Clark herself. What is it about her game that constantly operates on such a high level that it forces everyone watching, fans, coaches, even critics, to completely rethink what they believed was possible in this sport? Music, you have to wonder, is this kind of unreal dominance actually sustainable? Or are people still refusing to fully accept that the sport's most explosive and game-changing talent just proved every one of her critics completely wrong the moment she stepped back onto the court? So let's really break down what happened. How all that loud criticism instantly collapsed the second she touched the ball, and what this performance truly says about where Clark and the Indiana Fever are heading next. Because the talk about rule changes is only the beginning. What really matters is what this performance revealed about how unstoppable Caitlin Clark is quickly becoming. I want to know what you think, so leave your thoughts in the comments below. Because before the game even started, the controversy had already exploded. ESPN released their preseason top 50 rankings, and what they did next shocked a lot of people. They placed Caitlin Clark at number 10. Just think about that for a second. Number 10. We're talking about the same player who almost single-handedly turned a struggling franchise into the most watched and most discussed team in the league. The same player who didn't just break attendance records, she destroyed them. She didn't simply surpass viewership records, she completely rewrote them. She carried the Indiana Fever through an entire season while rest of the basketball world simply couldn't stop watching. Then, adding even more fuel to the fire, they placed her behind Paige Bueckers, who they ranked at number 8. Fans weren't just mildly upset about it, they were furious. And it wasn't only fans either. A large part of the basketball community called it exactly what it appeared to be, a ranking built for clicks, controversy, and engagement rather than credibility or any honest evaluation of talent. The main question sitting in the minds of viewers right now feels impossible to ignore once you understand what that ESPN list truly represented. How does a player with Caitlin Clark's proven impact, undeniable influence, and incredible production end up ranked behind players who still haven't matched what she has already accomplished at the professional level? Because, let's be clear, this was never presented as a ranking based on future potential. It wasn't a prediction about ceilings or where careers might eventually go years from now. It was promoted as a ranking of players right now, judged by what they have actually achieved in professional basketball against real competition. The answer, honestly, requires a deeper conversation about what rankings like this truly are and, more importantly, what they are not. Because separating reality from narrative is the only way to fully understand why the reaction to this list came so quickly and so strongly. A healthy Aaliyah Boston completely changes what this Fever roster is capable of accomplishing, but Clark's strange placement on that list reveals something even bigger about the narratives currently being built around women's basketball. History repeatedly shows that players who redefine an entire sport are rarely fully appreciated in real time.
Why?
Because real-time evaluations are often shaped by expectations, institutional bias, and the natural human tendency to resist accepting that something truly unprecedented is happening right in front of us. It's easier to minimize greatness than admit your understanding of greatness was wrong. The matchup the entire internet had been waiting on for weeks, the one highlighted on calendar, finally arrived. And in that moment, everything that had been argued, debated, and posted in angry, all-caps messages across basketball forums suddenly had a real answer right in front of everyone. It was Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers, the player ESPN surprisingly ranked 10th, going head-to-head with the player they believed deserved to be 2 spots higher at number 8. And what happened on that court was not some dramatic back-and-forth battle, where both players traded huge moments and the result stayed uncertain until the final buzzer. Not even close. Clark opened with a lightning-fast blow-by layup right at Bueckers that instantly made her intentions clear from the very first possession. It was a statement. Then she calmly knocked down a three-pointer off a perfect Monique Billings screen that created just enough space for a clean shot. But the question in many viewers' minds goes much deeper than a basic box score comparison. Because what happened on that court reignited a conversation the basketball world has been avoiding ever since Clark entered the professional game. If this performance answered the ranking debate so clearly and so brutally, why did the original list create such massive outrage in the first place? What is it about the way Caitlin Clark is evaluated by the established sports media that repeatedly creates these moments where the on-court results say one thing while institutional rankings confidently say another? The answer behind all the controversy and debate comes down to one undeniable truth that elite competition always exposes. The court does not negotiate. The court does not adjust itself to fit narratives, and it certainly does not apologize afterward. What Caitlin Clark produced in those 16 minutes wasn't luck. It wasn't some inflated stat line created by a weak matchup or a defensive breakdown that favored her. This was Clark performing at the same elite level she has shown repeatedly throughout every meaningful stage of her career. And the incredible efficiency numbers beside her name by the end of that game represent something sports ranking systems are going to have to seriously confront moving forward. And this is where the story takes an interesting turn. A moment many viewers completely missed in real time because the most important thing that happened during that game had nothing to do with a shot, a flashy highlight, or a stat in the final box score. During the game, Atlanta's Alana Smith made a hard closeout on Clark that officials immediately reviewed. After checking the replay, they upgraded it to a flagrant foul. Now this call carried major significance, not just because of that possession, but because of what it revealed about how the league may now enforce its own rules around one of the most controversial officiating debates the sport has faced recently. And let's be completely honest here. That specific call, that upgrade, never would have happened during the 2024 season. The question viewers should really be asking after taking all of this in is one that directly impacts the future of competition across the league. Think about it. If Clark is now getting an incredible 13 free throw attempts in only 16 minutes because the rules are finally being enforced the way they were always intended to be, what happens to the defensive game plans opposing coaches spent all last season creating? Those plans were built around the belief that defenders could constantly play physical against Clark without officials consistently punishing it, because that was essentially the strategy last year. Be aggressive, stay physical, and challenge the referees to make the call. The answer goes beyond one player's free throws or a single flagrant foul in a preseason game. What this officiating shift really represents is the league finally acknowledging, in the clearest way possible, that the level of contact allowed against Clark last season did not match what the rulebook actually requires. You do not accidentally get 13 free throw attempts in 16 minutes. That is not random, and it certainly is not the result of one unusually reckless defensive performance. It was a message. Now, let's honestly talk about what still went wrong in this game, because this is not some perfect story with a flawless ending. Anyone watching carefully knows the final score did not fully reflect the issues the Indiana Fever are still trying to solve as a team aiming to become truly competitive. Indiana was dominated on the boards, losing the rebounding battle 45-26. That is a huge problem. On top of that, they committed 17 turnovers. Read those numbers again carefully, because those are not stats you can casually ignore after one rough night. They cannot simply be brushed aside as meaningless mistakes that will automatically disappear once the regular season starts and the competition becomes more intense. The real question fans should be thinking about after hearing all of this is one the team cannot avoid just because it is easier to focus on the positives. Celebrating Caitlin Clark's brilliance and recognizing the roster's talent is one thing, but does any of it truly matter at the championship level this team hopes to reach if the rebounding issues continue? And what happens if the turnovers consistently stay around 17 per game? Because those two problems together are not small flaws that naturally disappear with time. They can destroy an entire season. The answer requires separating the issues that can realistically be fixed from the ones that may not solve themselves simply through more games and optimism. Treating every problem as equally fixable would be a major mistake for anyone honestly evaluating this team. The 17 turnovers are definitely real and absolutely concerning. However, an honest basketball breakdown of those turnovers points more toward rhythm and timing issues rather than a lack of talent or a broken system. And the chemistry between Clark and her teammates has already shown that it usually develops quickly once they get consistent reps together and enough game experience to build natural flow. What Caitlin Clark showed in those incredible 16 minutes is not something that disappears once social media moves on to the next headline. The questionable rankings will continue, without doubt. The criticism will keep finding new angles, and every single time it happens, she will return to the court and make the answer look completely obvious. The Fever absolutely have major problems they still need to solve, but the foundation of this team is built around a generational talent the league still has no real answer for. That flagrant foul upgrade was not just another whistle during a preseason game. It was the league openly admitting what critics have spent so long refusing to acknowledge. If you want the full breakdown every time moments like this happen, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell because the conversation around Caitlin Clark is only going to grow louder from here.